What's up, y'all? Happy Wednesday. Welcome back to the Graduated and Grown podcast. It is I, Ariane, back with another episode, back with another guest episode. And this is actually my first double guest episode. So today, well, in all honesty, it was supposed to be three guests, but the third was having technical difficulties. So you'll hear from him in the future. But today I have two amazing women that I have known for about, oh my goodness, it's going on 5 years. Like a couple weeks after this episode, it'll be 5 years since we have all known each other. And today's episode topic is about singleness. So I feel like, other than money, a, another hot topic that we love talking about when we're young is relationships and dating and being single. And I'm like, okay, we need to have some people on the podcast that are single. I talked to Bria in season 1, and we talked about being in a long-term relationship. Really, really good episode if you haven't already listened to it. But I also wanted to get the perspective of somebody who's young and somebody who's single. And this is a really, really cool episode because one of the guests has never been in a serious relationship, and the other guest has been in serious relationships and also a situationship. So, I'm so excited. Okay, let me tell you about the guests. Introducing Isabelle Ja'Neil and Ja'Neil Humphrey. Woo woo. So let's start off with Isabelle. Isabelle is from Tennessee. We both went to the same university, and right now she's actually in medical school. She just completed her first year of medical school. That is so awesome. So you guys need to refer to her as Dr. Kaneza. I met Isabelle, it had to be within the first like 3 days of school. She was in the same navigator group as one of my really, really good friends, and I'm assuming that's how we met. And also, our friend groups kind of mixed and intermingled a lot of the time. So, very, very familiar with Isabelle. And we also were housemates senior year until COVID came and ruined the end of our senior year. But Isabelle is so, so sweet, so smart. And I knew she'd be a really, really great person to have on this podcast. And I think you guys will definitely see why when we get into the meat of the episode. So, Isabelle is originally from Tennessee, and she studied biology undergrad in college. And now she is in medical school. Yes, she is a doctor in the making. No, she's a doctor, not a doctor in the making. She is a doctor. And she is thinking about maybe doing something in psychiatry, but the future will tell. In Isabelle's free time, she likes honestly doing a lot of different things. She likes going to museums, trying new restaurants, trying new recipes. She likes working out at Orange Theory, which is somewhere that I really want to try. I think post-pandemic, I would probably get a membership because I'm pretty fascinated with that place. Let me get back on topic. Isabelle's also in a band, which is crazy. Yes, she's singing in a band. Super, super, super cool. If you follow her Instagram, maybe you'll get some of those clips. And then she also likes reading and volunteering at her local refugee health clinic. So that's a little bit about Isabelle. You'll kind of get a better feel for who she is when we actually get into the meat of the episode. And then our second guest is the one and the only Ja'Neil Humphrey. I'm pretty sure I met Ja'Neil either on the first day or the second day of freshman year. I went up to her room because I needed to give something to her roommate. I don't know why I still remember that, but I actually do have a picture with Ja'Neil from the first weekend at college. But Ja'Neil is so multifaceted, multi-talented, literally from head to toe. She likes singing, she likes dancing, and she also enjoys her job of being a plant mom. And I'll say the same thing about Isabelle. She takes her plants very, very seriously. Ja'Neil is from New Jersey, and she actually lives on the West Coast right now. She is also in medical school right now. So both Ja'Neil and Isabelle are officially preparing to go into their second year of medical school. So again, please refer to them as doctors. And in college, Ja'Neil was definitely very involved, and I think she's still carrying over that same effort or same habit into medical school. So actually, pretty recently, she started a blog through this nonprofit called Greater Influence. And the blog is specifically for Black and Brown students who want to be doctors. And so she just talks about her experiences and also gives a lot of good tips on that blog. And she also recently started a YouTube channel just for her to document her journey of life and specifically medical school. Like I said, I think Ja'Neil and Isabelle were two really, really great people to have on the podcast. We had a really great conversation, and I learned a lot about them and their perspectives. I think it was very, very helpful. So if you're someone that's single, if you're someone that's in a relationship, relationship, if you're someone that's dating right now, I think you'll really, really enjoy this episode. If you want to see the video edition of this, you can go over to the YouTube channel, Graduated and Grown. Also, the Instagram will have clips at Graduated and Grown. But all right, I'm gonna stop talking because this was a really, really good interview and I don't want to take up your time. So sit back, relax, and let's talk about being a single woman in your 20s trying to navigate life. I don't know about you, but I think adulting is hard. Figuring out your love life, finances, friendships, professional life, health, and how to make a freaking doctor's appointment on your own can be so overwhelming sometimes. So, welcome to Graduated and Grown, a podcast that's focused on helping you and me overcome the struggles of adulting. Let's have some fun yet honest conversations about life once you're graduated and grown. So today I'm virtually sitting and chatting with two amazing young adults. There's supposed to be a third, but technical difficulties. So I met Ja'Neil and Isabelle freshman year, probably low-key the first week of school. I feel like I met you guys like during orientation. And you guys are definitely two different people with two different backgrounds, but there's one thing you guys have in common. You guys are both beautiful single women. So before we get into the meat of this episode, can you guys introduce yourself? We can start off with Ja'Neil.
Awesome. Hey guys, my name is Janelle Humphrey. I'm a first year med student at a school in Southern California, and I'm originally from New Jersey, so east to west coast, trying to make it happen. But
Hey everyone, my name is Isabelle. I am a first year medical student but I'm in Philadelphia up north. I'm originally from Tennessee, so I went south to north. And yeah, again, happy to be here. Really excited to chat.
Yes. So obviously today we're going to talk about singleness and dating and just your experiences. I think talking about the topic of singleness is important because a lot of people are single, but I think a lot of people aren't happy in their singleness. And from what I've like seen from you guys, both of you seem like, you're happy with where you're at in life. So I can't wait to like unbox that. And so at the beginning of all my guest episodes, I like to, break the ice a little bit with a couple questions. So the first question, I'll throw this to Isabelle first. What is your absolute dream job?
Okay, it's like a toss up. Like, I would love to be an interior designer. Like, I love looking at homes and like showrooms, and it's just an expensive hobby. And that's like, and you had to like kind of have connections. But I think that like creating a space that's just very zen, very like it like fits your mood is like something I would really love to do for the long term. But I am also in medical school, and that's the dream job that's practical, and it's exciting. It's more exciting, I think, than being a home designer.
Nice. Okay, what about you, Janelle? What's your dream job?
well, Isabel kind of stole mine because that used to be actually like my goal before becoming a doctor.
Really?
But yeah, it actually was my goal. But um, I think for me, I would like want to be like a cool tour guide or something like that invites people to like cute, like unknown places. Like I don't know, that's just a person that popped into my mind. Um, but yeah, I just think it's so cool to introduce people to like new experiences and like seeing their face, like wow, like oh, this is so cool. I didn't know this was here. So I
Yeah.
guess like being like a tour guide. I don't know, not like a tour guide, like a luxurious one, like of course
Mm.
bougie, like not like a regular one, obviously, but like one that's like I don't know, exclusive. I'll put it that way.
That would be nice. I would definitely love like some type of like luxurious tour of like New York City or even like DC. I would definitely pay for that. Okay. My next question. If you had to eat one meal every day for the rest of your life, what would it be and why?
Well, I already know mine is chicken, and like. I think it's because you can do so many things to it. I just love. I don't know. I love chicken. I'm probably weird, but
What
that's
type of
that's
chicken? Like,
what
how
I
do you like it?
like. Some good jerked chicken. Like I'm Jamaican or half, and so that I can eat that all day, every day, no doubt.
I think my answer isn't really a meal. Like, but I could have rice every day for the rest of my life. It's like the worst thing you could have,
Interesting.
carb heavy. But there's so many things you can do with it. You can have fried rice, jollof rice, you can have sushi, um, rice and peas. Like, yeah, it's very versatile, but it's not really a meal. But that's, I could do that forever for sure.
Jollof rice is so good though. That's a meal by itself though. It's really good.
It is.
That's true. Okay. And then this next question, it's related to dating. So if you could date any celebrity or influencer right now at this phase of your life, who would it be and why?
I'm like thinking about my Instagram followers right now. Who do I follow on Instagram?
That's what I do too.
Maybe like this is gonna sound so superficial, but I'm thinking like Broderick Hunter. He seems like he lives a really cool life and he's very good looking. And like I'm seeing how he's treating his new girl and it seems like they're happy together. So yeah, him.
I have no idea who that is.
Isn't he like super dark skinned and chocolatey and like
A
just
model, yes, girl.
yes, I understand. Yes. Yes. For me,
Good
I don't
choice.
even know. I don't really follow a lot of like influencer guys per se. But I'm so
Same.
sorry guys about the sound. It's like they're literally right outside my window. But I think for me, I recently came across this guy called like the Real Tarzan, that's his at name. And he like does all this like adventurous stuff. Like he has like snakes like all around him. Like he had like, a tarantula on his face. Like I want to I guess I would date somebody like that to be super adventurous. I'm not as spontaneous as that. So I guess that would be a good match to balance me out. But that's like who I
Wait,
thought of because which
what's his Instagram name again?
the real Tarzan.
Interesting. Okay. Hmm.
Yeah, he's super fine too. That's number one. And number two, it's just like he has the guts to like travel places. He's really down for the animals, trying to save all of them. So I mean, I guess it's like a crush I have, like a current influencer crush I would want to date. I don't know.
Okay. I'm gonna have to check out the real Tarzan.
Yeah,
I'd be the worst girlfriend. I'd be like, you have fun. I'll stay home.
Send me pictures. That's it. All right, so let's move into the meat of the podcast. So, obviously, the topic is singleness. So, I think we have to start off the podcast with knowing what your exact relationship status is. So, are you A, single and not looking, B, single but kind of dating around, looking around, or are you C, single but like low key focused on one person at the moment?
I'm single and looking around, dating around. No commitment right now. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
same. B. Yeah, I'm single, but I'm looking around.
How long have you been single?
I love this question. I have been single all my life, stress free. No one will ever stress me, has ever stressed me, can ever stress me. Yeah, so
Hmm.
single all my life.
Okay, follow-up question for you, Isabel. So, do you feel like coronavirus, do you feel like that's made it a little difficult for you to kind of like meet new people, especially since you're in a new environment right now? Or are you still able to kind of meet people, go on dates?
Absolutely. I barely know my classmates.
Mhm.
Like making friends, like that was my priority before making like meeting men. It's making friends, and that's been tough. And so imagine how much more tough it is to find like a man who you have to be compatible in, not just like a friendship way but also romantically. Yeah, definitely it's been difficult, and I've had to go through avenues that I don't normally go through to like put myself out there.
So you said you have not been in a relationship before. So like let's talk about like your college experience. Did you kind of like what how was the dating pool at Oakwood in your opinion? Was it like nice, not so nice, or were you like too focused on school? Like give me the details about that.
Yeah, Oakwood. I think while I was there, I felt like the dating pool was so small because I knew too many people who, or I had too many friends who were connected to men because there weren't there the ratio of women to men was like ridiculous. Like I don't know, it's
Yeah.
like 10 to 1. I don't know what it is exactly, but it felt like it. So I didn't really find myself dating at Oakwood. I initially, like freshman and sophomore year, I was very focused about making sure that my grades were like a setup for medical school. And then I opened myself up like junior, senior year. But by that point, a lot of people had been like, had figured out that they wanted to be in a relationship and have collected their men, and men became taken or had already had flings with friends of mine. And so it just, the pool was kind of slim. But now looking back, I'm like, these people actually, on paper at least, have everything that I am, or a lot of the things that I'm looking for in a person. And so it feels like the dating pool back then was a lot better than now, even though at the time when I was at Oakwood,
Mhm.
it didn't feel like it. So you never know what you have till it's gone.
What would you say about the dating pool that you've seen so far at medical school? Do you think there's any like potential suitors maybe, or you just don't know yet?
I mean, I have my eye out on people, you know what I'm saying? But
Okay.
but I'm just, it's not, it doesn't seem practical. And if I'm looking for something long term, sometimes like with my religion and like the way that I keep the Sabbath and the way they
Yeah.
keep the Sabbath, or don't even keep the Sabbath, their religion is really different. I don't know. I also, again, like COVID has really kept me from meeting a lot of people. Last night, I was able to meet more med students in Philly, and I think that opened my eyes to like people who could be potential suitors. But I don't really know them. I don't know what they're about. So, but I think my like as the pandemic kind of phases out a little bit, I'm hoping I'm seeing more options, and like it doesn't seem as dry and weary.
Got you. Okay. Janelle, how long have you been single? And then after that, you moved to a new place as well. Do you feel like it's been difficult with COVID to like, find suitable men to like date?
So I've been single for officially 4 years, right? Yeah, officially. But I was like in a situationship, I guess that counts, kind of. I guess we can talk about that a little bit more later.
Yeah.
But it's been super tough because of COVID. Because like I'm not really looking in the medical field, which sounds, I don't know, people might be like, well, I thought you went to be with a doctor. No, not really, because there's so many other parts of me that I feel like I would want my partner to complement. And like, in order for me to find that, I kind of have to be in different spaces for that to happen. Like, for example, I like to sing sometimes, so I would usually like go and find like little spots like to hear live music. Can't really do that as much anymore. I could probably if I really wanted to, but again, I'm in med school time, so just the whole like move itself, not just COVID, but the whole transition is kind of like put a damper on that in general. So
Yeah, I definitely feel like that sucks. I have a couple other friends right now. They're like, yeah, they're on like the dating apps and stuff, but they don't really feel comfortable meeting up with the guy because they don't really know what he's doing. So, okay. So let's talk a little bit more about dating. And I'm going to start off with Janelle, since you mentioned you were in a situationship in the past. And so I don't want you to like to give all the details, but like, can you tell us one, what is a situationship? And then why was it a situationship and not a relationship?
I guess like sometimes I think of it as purgatory because it's just like you're in the middle. Like you know that you're kind of like exclusive, quote unquote, kind of with the person because you're always chilling with that one person, but it's not really defined as a relationship, like straight out. Like if you were to ask that person what is that person to you, they'd be like, that's my girl, but not my girlfriend or somebody who I'm
Mm.
committed to. So I guess that's my definition of a situationship. Do you ask me like about my experience with that or
Yeah, you don't have to give all the details, but just how was that experience?
yeah. So it started off being just like not a fling, like I don't want to sound like I'm a thought on here, but I was just trying to have fun, you know. And it was with somebody who I had known in high school and I knew he wasn't like serious about a relationship. So it's kind of like let's just go on dates, let's just like kind of just be cute. I wasn't really expecting anything from it, but then he got feelings and I did
Mm.
too, and I was just like, okay, well, this kind of just makes sense for us to like actually see where this goes. But it was never a distinction between okay, we were just like kind of playing around, but now we want to be serious about each other. And I think that's why it made it so easy to stay in that spot. And then it turned
Mhm.
into like months of okay, like you're my boo, but like we're not official. And it was like, all right, well, I'm still in school. Like as well said, I was really focused on my schoolwork, so I could have done without a relationship at that point because I was so laser focused. I was taking the MCAT that year too, so I was like, I don't got time for
Mhm.
that. But if you want to be there, then like, and he was there enough to not be a distraction. So it's kind of like, all right, let's assume that after I'm done with the test or, at a certain point in my life, he'll be like, okay, well, let's be official because it just made sense, like how it's progressing. But
Yeah.
it didn't go anywhere.
Mm.
And I realized it was because he could not commit. And it wasn't just that I had been in that spot in my life, it was also him as well. So when I was ready, it was like, why aren't you ready? And it's because, oh, you were kind of using me being preoccupied with my schoolwork as like not an excuse, but it bought him a lot of time. And then when it
Yeah.
was time to really matter, he was like, see, I don't really want to be in a relationship. I was like, wait, what? Like,
Mm.
so that was like a
Mm.
brief synopsis of it. It wasn't all bad though, obviously, but yeah.
Wow. Okay. So you had a relationship that was freshman year. Not
Mhm.
you're out of that. Then you had the situationship. So I asked Isabel this question too. What did you think about like the dating pool when we were at college? Do you feel like there were like, a lot of good, potential options or not a lot of people that really caught your eye?
I mean, initially I was like, yes, like Oak was gonna be a place of, black people who are SBA. So clearly I might be able to find someone. And then of course I ended up in a relationship in the beginning because I had known that person a little like probably months before getting there. So it's kind of like, all right, well, he's a potential person, but the dating pool was so wide because I didn't really know, who was with who. Like
Yeah.
was said before, it was like nobody was really set in like a this person goes with this person, like this person had been with X, Y, and Z. It was more so like it's a easy pickings, like open season basically.
Yeah.
But then like as time went on, some people actually like showed themselves for who they were because I was with them for years now. I could see some of them were weird. I was like, all right, so you're with this person, you've been with that person, and then I'm also very picky. So then that became slim very quickly.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I don't know.
So
It,
you mentioned pickiness. So
yes,
this is for both of you guys. Like, what are you looking for in a partner? Like, what's like your short list for someone that you want to date right now?
I guess I can start. Well, I have very few standards, and I say it's very few standards because I have more preferences than standards. But
Okay.
my standards are like, I guess they know God because that's super important to me. So I guess my standards kind of mirror what I expect of myself, which is like to know and to get to know God, to just be a good person, like very emotionally intelligent. And I think the last one is just, I don't know. Those are my solid two for right now. I'll probably think about more later. But
Okay. Isabel, what about you?
I think I have maybe like five things that I'm not really flexible on, and one of them does correlate with Janelle. Like, you have to know God, you have to believe that, like, He's a priority in your life and act like He's a priority in your life before even me. And uh, I I want to see ambition there. Like, it does, like, you don't have to have everything figured out right now,
Yeah.
but like you're taking action steps, and you're trying to make a career for yourself, because I am. And uh, I think that knowing yourself is important too, knowing like your trauma, your bad habits, your good habits. If there's something there that you need to work through, like, are you going to therapy? Not that you need to be going to therapy, but I don't think that that's my job to fix something from your past. So, and I'm also doing the same thing. I'm working through my like issues, and like really focusing on molding myself to be the best person for my other person. So I expect the same from him.
Mm. Okay. And then what would you say are some of the deal breakers? I mean, obviously, both of you guys mentioned you obviously probably would not date someone who doesn't believe in God or who doesn't have a relationship with God for themselves. So, what are some other deal breakers that, if even if he was fine, you would just say, no, I'll pass?
just the focus, it goes along with what Isabel was saying. Like, if you're not focused, if all you want to do is like sit at home, which is not a bad thing. Some men end up being like stay at home dads and stuff, but if you just don't know where you're going at all with like your like your personal growth, like your career, like you don't have your thoughts organized, that's a definite no for me. And another one of my deal breakers is like poor hygiene and just like not a good sense of, I mean, like appropriateness as far as like how you should present yourself in like a certain setting. Like if you have your like collar like halfway up, like during a job interview, it's like, dude, what are you doing? Like that's a deal breaker for me because it automatically turns me off. It's like you don't really care enough to present yourself and to represent who you are and people who you just don't have that sense. And so it's just like, what
And
am I
who's
doing
representing you?
here?
Yes.
Exactly.
What
Because
does
if
that
you're
say
not going
about
to
me?
exactly, if you're not going to represent yourself in a certain way, then you're not going to really care how you carry yourself. Like affects how I'm represented as well. I don't know if that makes sense, but
Yeah, it
yeah,
does.
that's definitely a deal breaker.
That's a good point. Isabel, what about you? What are your deal breakers?
I echo everything Janelle said, like heavy.
Mm-hmm.
And then also like just be nice. Like why do you have to be mean? I think being considerate goes a long way. I don't think that you have to like mold or like bend and break yourself to be someone like what everyone needs, but just have empathy, have kindness, and be sensitive towards people's emotions. I think that's a really big deal for me, which is weird because I also want like a manly man. So I don't know how that intersects, but I'm looking for it. I'll know it when I see it.
So, obviously, both of you guys are driven women, and what sets like you guys apart and other young women like you is you guys are kind of, how do I say this? Like guaranteed pretty much to be making six figures and above, right? So, do you think, how do I say this? When you're looking for a life partner, if that's where your head is at right now, does his life or career trajectory matter to you? Or is that something you feel like you might worry about later when things get like really serious?
I like to always say that I would wait until things get very serious, but something within me is always like, all right, so in 5 years, am I gonna have to support you as like another child or what? Like, um, I think as long as they have that drive and that passion that we've been discussing already, then that will manifest itself in like a solid choice, like a solid plan for his life. I mean, I can't really tell or predict what they're going to do just because they don't have a linear path like I do. But if I know that being ambitious and being focused on like a certain goal or what their passion is, then I can pretty much rest assured that they'll figure it out and that
Hmm.
whatever happens in the future, it will match with whatever I'm doing.
This is a hard question. I've had lots of discussions with my housemates about this, like
Yeah.
because we're all about to be making similar like pays. I think it depends on where I end up, like what my specialty becomes and how available I am as a mother because I do want to be a mother at some point. And so I would hope that it sounds so shallow, but I would hope that they can match, at least match what I'm making if I end up in
Hmm.
like one of the lower paying fields in medicine. Um, yeah, I want to be able to take time off and be with my kids as they are like in their most impressionable stages of their life. And I can't do that
Hmm.
if my husband can't support me. So
Yeah, I totally get that. I know that is like a hard question, and I feel like a lot of people don't really feel comfortable, with saying like their true answer. But I totally respect that, and I hope that both of you guys get someone that can at least match
Yes,
what you're
right.
making. And then I want to go back a little bit. So we talked about religion a little bit, and I feel like we've talked about this on one of our FaceTime calls in the past. So you want somebody that loves God, knows God for themselves. What are your thoughts about dating someone that is not in the same religion as you? Is that okay? Or is that not something you would want to face or deal with?
Like denomination wise.
Yes.
Um, I don't know. I guess Isabel can go first. I'm not sure. I'll think about my answer.
I have an answer. I used to be like wishy washy about this, but like now I know just because you're Adventist denominationally doesn't mean that you exhibit ad or Christ like features. And so it's more important to me that you know God, that you have a relationship with God, that you would be willing to go to church with me pretty consistently, and that you'd be able to be the leader of the house in terms of like spirituality than it is that you are an Adventist.
Oh yeah. I actually just talked to my mom about this other day because it's like the basis of Adventism is the fact that, well, there's a lot that goes into it, but the main things that I see this specific denomination is, am I speaking in proper grammar? Oh my gosh, sorry. But the main thing, what I'm trying to say is, like, the Sabbath is a big part of our specific denomination, and so I would say, yeah, I wouldn't mind if they just, love the Lord and everything, but that's something that's super important to me, the Sabbath, like the concept of rest. So it's just like, I would prefer, and I'll say prefer, it's not a standard, but I would prefer that they would also worship, and because that's a big thing, like, and especially in prophecy, like, I don't want to get so technical, but in the end time, it's going to matter whether we go to church on Saturdays or not. So it's like, if that's a big thing that we're always constantly fighting about, but he loves the Lord, I will work with it. But there comes a point where it's just like, what is going to happen to our kids if they're wondering um, why mommy and daddy are like on two different sides? I mean, I'm thinking in the future, of course,
Yeah.
but what I'm basically trying to say is, I want somebody who loves the Lord, but I would also want someone who's at the same level of spirituality than me as me. But I wouldn't mind um, them, I guess, being different with their ritual. Okay, I don't know. Sorry, y'all. A lot's going on.
Like the theology of it
Yeah, like I don't. I like. I
and the
see myself right
technicalities.
now. Exactly. Like I see myself right now as a person who's more spiritual than religious. That's basically like where I'm
Hmm.
going. But if you're like following the health laws strictly, like you're reading LGY all day, I don't really care about that stuff. What I care about is like
Mm,
like it just matches me, like where I'm at and where I'm heading in a sense. I don't even know. But hopefully you guys are able to discern what I'm trying to say. Like, I don't know. I'm still on the fence. I'll just put it that way. I'm still on the fence about
mm,
um where I want my partner's religion to match up with mine, or like their spirituality rather. So
right. Like compatibility and spirituality. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I worded it so horribly because I don't really know how to say it, but yeah, I don't know.
I agree that like Sabbath is something that's very important to me as well. And I should probably clarify that. Like, you at least have to be willing to like go to church on Saturday with me and like
Yeah.
experience that 24-hour rest that I will never
Mhm.
take for granted ever again since starting
Never.
medical school.
No, it hits different in med school. But that's what I'm saying. Like, even if somebody came to me right now and said, "Well, I worship on Sundays," like, if they were willing to be open to see why I decided to worship on Saturdays, I would be open to that. But if it becomes a consistent problem where it's just like you will only go to church on Sunday, and then you will not support me in going on Saturday just because like and that's something deeper. So
And
I'm
to
not
be honest, it's a risk like to
it
like be
risk.
with someone who isn't that's not their denomination, but I think that's part of dating, right? Taking risks and hoping that it works out and like you might get hurt, but
Yeah.
uh being scared is not an excuse of not trying things out, I think.
It's not. I
Right.
actually have a friend. I think we discussed this one time. He's atheist, but that's my closest friend. Like since I've gone to med school, I've grown to love him because he is so open to hearing my perspective, and I'm receptive of his. So I guess in that sense, like on a more romantic level, it would kind of be the same. But there's gonna come a point where I have to tell this guy, no, I don't believe that, and I wouldn't say like I'm not gonna be your friend, but it's gonna be a different level of friendship and connection just because.
Yeah. And then also, I wanted to add, sometimes, obviously, it shouldn't be like our job to, how do I say this, like convert people to our religion. But,
Yeah.
sometimes it
Mm,
does work. Like my grandparents, for example, my granddad, he was like Baptist and my grandma was Adventist. And, they did their thing, co parented very, very well. And he didn't get baptized and like really like ingrained into Adventism until I was like maybe like 10, because I like vividly remember his baptism. So, sometimes it is just somebody respecting your religion and, maintaining that head of the household, I guess, figure or name for the family, still leading religiously and still respecting your religion. Like, I think he would still go to church and serve and stuff, but after like being baptized, he's definitely a little bit more ingrained, and like he'll be talking to different people about his religion. It's kind of funny, but yeah, so let's change gears a little bit. So, we're young, right? And we should still be having fun. So, at this like mindset that you're at right now, would you be open to dating someone that you can't see yourself marrying?
We have to define dating, like what you mean by dating before we move on.
Would you be in
Because
a relationship, like would you call this person your boyfriend and like introduce them to your family? Oh, that adds an interesting layer, introducing them to your family. But yeah, would you call them your boyfriend, introduce them to your family, like ingrain them in your life if you knew that I we wouldn't work as a married couple?
I'm too practical. I would say no.
Mm.
Like introduce you to my family? Like no, no. That's yeah. I think that that would be reserved. Like that type of relationship would be reserved for someone who I'm not going to call a boyfriend. So a
yeah,
situationship.
yeah. So like based no, I agree. Based on like how I think about relationships and the purpose of dating, I'm not gonna bring you like home to my mom. Well, actually, I might, but like not gonna bring you home to like sit down and eat dinner with my family if I do
Okay.
not like see you as somebody who I want to potentially spend my life with. I think it's just like it's pointless, like because then it's just like why don't I do that like every week? Just bring a different person in, or like I don't know. I wouldn't. I see the purpose of dating as marriage, so it's just like if I don't see myself marrying you, then why am I dating you? Number one, number two, why am I showing you to my family if you're going to be in my
Mm.
life and out of it eventually? So
Right. And the whole time, like I know I'm gonna break your heart. Like that's terrible because I know in the end this is
Yeah.
over.
Okay, so what about like friends with benefits? We don't have to get into the details, but like do you feel like that's okay? We're what, 22, 23. Is that okay? Like we're living our life, nothing serious. We like each other, but we just know it won't work in the long run.
that's how my first situationship started. So I'm gonna say it's a no for me
Mm,
because it just gets
mhm.
messy. Like I'm super in my feelings all the time. So if I catch feelings, it's a wrap, and it's just like why did I even start doing this? So I might
Mm,
be a different person now, but all the same, I'm not. It's not for me.
I don't know. I think it depends on where I am, like romantically. Like it's a pandemic, so right now I'm gonna say yes, but like once the pandemic is over, I might change my mind.
Mhm. Okay. All right, before we get out of this dating section, I have a question. Do you guys feel pressured to be in relationship, whether that's by your friends, your family, your extended family, or are you like pressureless?
Not from my family or yeah, not from my family. We don't really it's weird. We don't really talk about dating.
Hmm.
Like it's like you're single or you're married. There's no in between. In Burundian culture, it's weird, and I thankfully have sisters I can confide in who also have kind of been through what I've been through. I'm the youngest of four, so that's been helpful. So my parents don't pressure me. My sisters encourage me with whatever it is that I'm choosing. The only person who really pressures me to start dating is myself. It's the weirdest thing, but like
Hmm.
it's just you see your friends getting into relationships or even like we're either being in serious situationships or like progressing into one, and you just start to like wonder like, oh, it would be nice in this moment to have someone with me, um share this experience with me, whatever that might be, as simple as like watching a movie or like taking a walk in the park. But I don't I'm very blessed to not have any pressures. It's really my decision.
Same. I feel like the biggest pressure does come from myself, but for a little different reason because my family they've been through a lot like recently, especially with my parents, and so me feeling pressured is kind of like me wanting to fix what has been broken in my family, I guess, in a sense, which is a
Mhm.
horrible way to go about dating because it's not, you're not supposed to love from a place of hurt. But I think that's where most of the pressure comes from. But my family, they really haven't said much because they know I'm busy. And they
Mhm.
know that this is a set time in my life for me to focus on me. So my mom asked me if I'm dating anybody, but I wouldn't say it's pressure.
Interesting. That's actually kind of surprising. And I wonder if it's kind of linked to, like, you guys being in medical school and having this like long career journey ahead of you, because a lot of my friends that are single, their families are like, it's usually not their parents, but like their aunties, uncles, grandparents. When are you bringing somebody home? When am I going to have grandbabies and stuff like that? So I'm happy to hear that like your family is like embracing you in this like phase of life and not like pressuring you to like have kids and get married soon. And
I will
then
say
go
my
ahead.
parents, like, they'd be happy to hear that I'm dating someone for sure. It's not like they don't want me to. They would love to have another set of grandchildren at some point too.
I feel like all grandparents would. They just want more and more grandbabies. Okay, and I should have asked this during the icebreakers, but I'm curious. What do you guys think about the talking phase? Well, no, before that. What is the talking phase? I feel like this is like this huge battle between
Okay.
like millennials and Gen Z, or Gen X, whatever we are. Gen Z. Yeah. What is the talking phase, and is it a waste of time or not?
I don't think that there's a definition for the talking phase because we just kind of make it up. It's very individualized. Like, what is the talking phase to you versus the next person? And that's the problem with the talking phase. Everyone sees it differently. We're not on one
Yeah.
accord. And that's where miscommunication happens. And one person sees talking as going out on like physical dates and being seen as I'm with this person, and another person sees it as I'm going to talk to other people and talk to you at the same time. So def in there, to me there's no definition. I think it's very much you have whoever you're talking to, you need to ask them what they think talking is about.
Oh, for sure.
That's
Yeah.
very smart.
Yeah.
Wow.
I can't really come up with a definition, but so I'll just say ditto to what Isabel said because it really depends on who the person is. So,
I love how you describe that. I think that's a really good point, cuz like when I'll talk to people, or when I was talking to people, I would like, say, "Oh, this is what talking is." And they'd be like, "Oh, I don't really think so." I might think it's exclusive, while he's like, "Oh, I can talk to like 50 other people at the same time." And then I get in my feelings. But okay, interesting. So, let's move on a little bit. I don't know if I asked you guys this earlier, but do you like actually want to be in a relationship right now, or are you just like content in your singleness right now?
I wouldn't say that I'm content, but I'm not sure I would say that I want to be in a relationship right now. It's a weird place to be, but um like being alone, and this is our first year, like we keep saying, a lot of changes happening, and I'm in the process of relearning myself in this new space.
Mm.
And so it's like, yeah, I want somebody to experience that with, but I have so much to unpack, and I keep finding something new about myself each day that I need to like work on or like kind of iron out so it doesn't
Mm,
affect my relationship. This is like, but like I want to apply that growth to a relationship and watch it grow. It's really weird. I don't know.
I agree. Like, I'm I can't say that I'm definitively one thing or the other. I think I have moments of I wish I could share this experience with someone, but I also
yeah.
know I'm in a very interesting transitionary period in my life where I am not only doing medical school, but I'm doing medical school in a very isolated space. And so all I can figure out or think about is myself and how I interact with the world. And it's a very important time to discover myself. And I don't want to lose that by trying to include someone else in that, because when they leave,
Yeah.
who am I, right? Because I don't know myself from this experience. So I will say though that, like, yeah, I'm also looking to get married after medical school, which is like a big like goal, but and it kind of seems unreasonable now with the pace that I'm going at. But so I am looking, and I do want to be in a relationship, but it's just not feasible. Also, I don't know if that makes sense.
Mhm. What advice would you give to people that want to be more content or happy in their singleness?
I would say that, or my biggest advice to people um, who want to be content is that both seasons are equally as like are of equal value. Basically, like just because you're single doesn't mean that you're like on cue for something. Like it doesn't always have to be the preamble to something bigger. Like it's a whole phase in of itself, and there's so much good that can come from it, like so much growth and like
Hmm.
so much self like knowledge, and even just making other relationships, like even developing other relationships. Like I feel like sometimes when you get in a relationship, especially in the beginning phases, a lot of friendships may be put on the back burner, which is not a bad thing, but maybe singleness sometimes a place for you to foster those so they're able to withstand that transition between you like being like that good friend to now having to put more of your energy towards a relationship. So there's just
Mhm.
value in both. And one is not better than the other. And either way, like if you're not growing in either, that's like a bad thing, but both are an opportunity for different parts of you to shine.
I love that. What about you,
Well
Isabel?
put. I would first like I kind of don't like the idea of like finding happiness because it implies that you were sad to begin with.
Mhm.
Just imagine yourself as being happy. That's like the start. Like your perspective is very important. Like manifest. Like I am happy right now, regardless of whether or not I have a man in my life. And then like Janelle said, use this time to discover yourself and to find friends. Like men come and go, but your friends, your female friends, and I mean female friends, are the ones who are going to be with you through thick and thin. And so I recommend like reaching out and putting yourself out there to find female friends before you find male friends. And you'll find that you'll be much more happy when you find your man because you have someone to confide with about issues that might come up when you do have a relation when you are in a relationship with a man.
Wow, I love that. I think you guys both had really, really good points. And Isabel, I like how you kind of correct me instead of saying like finding happiness, like to actually manifest and say, you know what, I am happy. So thank you for that. And then my last question is very similar to the last one, but it's just general. We're all in our 20s, we're all doing very different things, but I think, all of us have different life experiences and just different value that we can add to other people's lives. So, what advice would you give for other young 20 somethings that are trying to navigate life, whether it has to do with love or health, their career, friendships, just anything? What advice would you like to share with the people that are listening to the podcast?
I don't know if this is going to make sense, but like I find myself looking at things like microscopically and like over analyzing everything that happens to me. And like life is so much bigger than this one particular issue that you have. Like there's a bunch of different countries with so many cultures, and like just pull yourself out of that situation, take a step back and really realize how blessed you are to be alive and to be on earth and to experience experiences. It's kind of redundant, but like just really like pull back, and a lot of things don't matter in the long run, or they will work themselves out.
Kind of in the same vein, I would tell other people like who are my age, like a little younger than me or whatever, that this is the time to mess up. I feel like people they're afraid to not have it together, that they end up like faking it till they make it, and then when they get to like their midlife crisis, they're like, I didn't know there was so much wrong with me. Like this is the time to like kind of like heal from stuff that you didn't know was bothering you in your childhood. This is the time for you to actually figure out what you want to do with your life. It's not the end all be all. And right now is that the best time to do it because you have enough responsibility, but you're more so like kind of flapping in the wind, I guess. I don't know. It's like nothing is set in stone, and so I guess I would tell them to like use this to their advantage because you're not going to get these times back where you're impressionable. You have like I said, minimal responsibilities, relatively, and you can mess up, and like you have people who are able to support you. But if you're 60 years old and you still don't know what you're like why you think a certain way, or it just like once those things are set in stone, it's like you really can't not have the excuse. So like use it to your advantage. Like this is the time to mess up. So yeah.
I'm totally all for that. Like our 20s, this is like our rough draft. Like this is where you get to experiment. Like if you want to like try something new, try it now. If you want to again make a huge mistake, do it now when you're in your 20s, when you don't have like a husband and 5 kids that are like depending on you and stuff like that. So I'm totally all for making all the mistakes, and I think with social media it kind of really makes us feel like we have to have everything figured out. Like we see our peers like that seem like they have the perfect life and everything's working out perfectly fine for them, but that's cool for them. I'm sure it's not like that really behind the scenes, but you know, they're over
Mhm.
there succeeding, but I'm going to be over here making my mistakes every single day. Isabel, I think you're about to say something.
I was just going to say also that you are in full control of your life. Like, people might influence your decisions, but you shouldn't let them make the decisions for you. And it's a lot easier said than done. But once you start making decisions for yourself, you're going to find that you're so much happier. But that also means that you kind of have to know what you want. And again, making mistakes, trying out things, not being afraid of trying out new things, but ultimately deciding for yourself what you want to do, not what your parents want you to do, not what your friends think that you should do, not what you think that your past has set you up to do. If something new comes up, try it. It might be your destiny.
Wow, thank you for that. Again, thank you guys so much for taking out the time to be on the Graduated and Grown podcast. I really enjoyed talking with you guys and like learning more about you guys in this different aspect of your lives. And of course, I wish you all the best in your journeys. If I ever need some type of like medical procedure, I'm going to both of you guys.
I got
Um,
you, girl.
I'm just saying if you come to me, that's a problem. I want to do like the invasive stuff. So hopefully you never have to come to me.
well, yeah, Loki, hopefully not. But if listeners want to like connect with you guys or just follow your journeys on social media, how should they go about doing that?
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram. I am Isa Kaneza, Isakan, as in Nancy, easy A. Yeah, I post about like my. I haven't really been posting about my journey through med school, but just life things. It's really chill.
Awesome. You can also connect with me on Instagram at underscore JGMH. And I'm in the process of starting my YouTube channel to kind of capture like all this stuff that I'm going through in medical school. So you can follow me on YouTube, like subscribe to my channel at Janelle Grace Marie. It's kind of hard to spell. I'll spell it out like Isabel did. Janeil, and then space Gracemarie.
Okay, how'd you like the episode? Tell me the truth. Did you like? I know you liked it. I know you don't have to tell me. So that was the end of the episode with Janelle and Isabel. I think they really provided some really good gems throughout the episode, and I really want to highlight what I don't remember if it was Janelle or Isabel, but one of them said both seasons, referring to both being single and in a relationship, both of those seasons are of equal importance, and I totally agree with that. So if you are single, really enjoy that season of your life. If you are in a relationship, again, enjoy that season of life. And if you guys have any other dating, love, relationship topics that you want me to talk about on the podcast, or if you have different guests, or you think you would be a good guest to have on the podcast, be sure to follow me on Instagram and send me a DM. I'm always looking for new guests, new topics, all that great stuff. But yeah, I will see you guys next week. Again, be sure to connect with Janelle and Isabel on their social media so you can follow their journeys. But I will see y'all next Wednesday with another hot episode. Peace out. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode of the Graduated and Grown podcast. I appreciate you so much. If you haven't already, be sure to rate this podcast 5 stars and subscribe to the podcast so you can get a notification every single time a new episode is posted each week. Also, don't forget to follow our Instagram at Graduated and Grown so you can learn a little bit more about our guests, about our topics, get some resources, and provide some feedback and or episode ideas for the podcast. All right, y'all, it was your host, Ariane, and I'll talk with you all next week.